Welcome back to the 2 Minute Warning. Today I'm looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and determining whether or not I think they will go undefeated in 2021. But before getting to that topic, question for those of you viewing, comment down below. What do you think the Buccaneers record will be in 2021? And of course, keep in the back of your mind that if this season is 17 games, not 16. So like I said, remember that. And I'll reveal my answer at the end. But getting into it, there's speculation the Bucs will go undefeated, and I guess there's good reason behind it. You know, they're the reigning Super Bowl champions. They brought every single starter back from that Super Bowl roster back, and they're only going to be better because of the chemistry they now have together. Of course, barring injuries and, age, they will assumingly be better than they even were last year. I mean, looking at their roster, they might have the best, if not at worst, a top 3 roster in the NFL. Tom Brady under center, of course, the GOAT. Decent offensive line to back him up. You got Donovan Smith and Tristan Wirfs on each side of the tackle position to protect him. Ryan Jensen up front of the center to help him out. Got a great balance in the backfield. You have a power back in Leonard Fournette. You have a receiving back in Giovanni Bernard. And you have a middle ground, a well-rounded back in Ronald Jones. Receiving core, that might be the best receiving core in the NFL. You got your height, size, and physicality and Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, and you got your speed and route running and Scotty Miller and Antonio Brown, and then you got more size and speed and Rob Gronkowski. I don't want to say that's speed, but more players, more notable names in the tight end position. Rob Gronkowski, Cameron Brate, O.J. Howard, even a young guy at the receiver position, Tyler Johnson, who was a rookie last year. This Bucs receiving core, like I said, it might be the very best one in the NFL. Looking at the defense, might be a top 5 defense in the NFL. It's got crazy pass rush. Look what it did to the Chiefs last year in the Super Bowl. Of course, they did have offensive line issues, but still, I'm not taking anything away from that Bucs defensive line between William Golston, Shaq Barrett, Vita Vea, Ndamukong Suh, JPP. That's a very scary pass rush. I don't care what your offensive line is. I think you can make the argument they have the best linebacker duo in the NFL between Devin White and Levante David. Secondary, it's not the best in the NFL, but it's definitely a better secondary in the NFL between Carlton Davis and Sean Murphy-Bunting hold down the corner position. We know how good Antoine Winfield Jr. is, rookie safety from last year, and then Jordan Whitehead behind them. You got a good secondary, you got a good front seven, you got a good D-line, you got a good offense, head to toe, top to bottom. There's a reason this best roster in the NFL has speculation to go 17-0, but I don't think it'll happen. Look, I'm a Bucs fan, and I think they'll have a great season. But undefeated, it just doesn't happen. It happened once in 1974, 72, whenever it was that the Dolphins did it. And that was when it was just 14 games in a season. No one did it in 16 games in a season. So I don't think now that the season's even extended more to 17 games, I don't think the Bucs are all of a sudden going to do it now. And of course, you could say, well, the one guy that was closest to going undefeated with the 16th season was Tom Brady. Yes, but still, he didn't get it done. And look what it took for Tom Brady to do that. Tom Brady was in his prime then for the most part. Now he's 43, going on 44, and he had the best receiver in the NFL, Randy Moss. In order to do that, they had to have the best offense in the NFL. Tom Brady had to break all kinds of records, setting 50 touchdown records. I know that's been broken since then, but at the time, it was still a record. And you could make the argument, yeah, they don't have Randy Moss now, but as a whole receiving core, it's just as good and has just as much firepower as Randy Moss did carrying the receiving core back then. Yes, that argument is fair, but still, like I said, referring back to Tom Brady being in the prime for his most part versus now being at the very end of his career, you're not going to have a 50 touchdown season, in my opinion, and Tom Brady's not going to put up those type of numbers to where this team goes undefeated. And I'll say it again, this Bucs team, I think they'll be great this year. I think they'll go anywhere 13-4, 14-3, 15-2, and I think we might see them in the NFC Championship Super Bowl again. But undefeated doesn't happen, and I just don't see it happening. The Bucs got some tough games. You got to play the LA Rams with, they lost a couple pieces in John Johnson, Troy Hill. They lost their center. They lost Gerald Everett. They lost Brandon Staley. But getting Matt Stafford with Cam Akers, with Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Van Jefferson, Tyler Higbee, Deshaun Jackson in that receiving core. And on defense, you still got your key pieces. Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd up front, and then Jalen Ramsey and Darius Williams in the back. Rams are a tough team, and I'm not saying the Bucs are going to lose to them, but that is one team I could definitely see them losing to. They also play the Buffalo Bills. We know how good Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs is. They addressed the problems they had in the offseason, getting more pass rush, building up the line to get a better run game. Bills are a tough one. And it doesn't have to be against the toughest team that they take their first loss to. Bucs, they could lose a division game. The Falcons, if Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Kyle Pitts, Calvin Ridley, that's a dangerous offense when everyone's healthy. Saints, if Michael Thomas is healthy and back, he could be comeback player of the year. Alvin Kamara, Jameis Winston, he might be looking for revenge against his old team, the Bucs, or Taysom Hill, I don't know. Panthers, if Sam Darnold turns his career around, he's got Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, and they have a very good defense. Any division game, well, I don't think any of those teams are going to take down the Bucs for the division and win the NFC South, but I could see any of those three teams, stealing one game. It's a division game, and like I said, no team goes undefeated. Losses are going to happen. No matter how perfect you think the roster is, and no matter how perfect I want the roster to be, they're going to lose at some point, and it doesn't matter, too, whether it be their biggest rival or opponent to try and get through to the Super Bowl in the Rams, or a huge AFC threat in the Bills, or whether it be a division game in their own division, a loss will happen. And even in the NFC East, they got a break there, getting to play that division this year. Sweeping an entire division is easier said than done. I think they can sweep the NFC East. I think they could go 4-0 in it. But like I said, easier said than done. If they come out 3-1, they lose one game, I won't be surprised. Losses in the NFL happens. You aren't perfect. You don't have perfect seasons. I'd love to see it. I want the Bucs to go undefeated, and I want them to prove this video wrong and prove my take wrong right now. I'd love to see them be 17-0. But I just don't think it'll happen, And if they don't go undefeated, it's not like it's a failure. I mean, if they go 12-5 and go on to win the Super Bowl, something tells me it'll still be a historical and a pretty impressive season that we'll consider successful. A Super Bowl is a Super Bowl. Obviously, being undefeated would make it better, but it's not like you take anything away from them if they didn't win it undefeated. So, Bucs, I don't think it'll happen. I just think no matter who it is, whether you lose to the team in the AFC East, whether it be the Bills powerhouse, a Dolphins good roster, maybe it'll be the divorce game between Bill Belichick and the Patriots against Brady and the Bucs. Maybe they'll lose against them. Maybe they'll lose to a scrub in the NFC East. Maybe they'll lose to someone in the voting division. Maybe they'll lose to the Rams. I don't know who it will be, but I do have the Bucs losing at some point in some way. And again, it's not taking anything away from them. They're still a great team. I still have them making the playoffs. I have them making the NFC Championship. And I'm not surprised that they make the Super Bowl, but they're not making the Super Bowl undefeated. To me, as always, guys, I do want to hear your opinions. Excuse me. Like I said, referring to the question of the video, what do you think the record will be, and do you think it'll go undefeated? If not, what do you think the record will be? To me, I think it'll be realistic anywhere between 13-4 to 15-2. But even then, if they slip out of that range and go to 12-5, as long as the Bucs make the playoffs, this is a scary team. They made it last year at 11-5 as a wildcard team, yet it didn't matter. They went on to win the Super Bowl. So the Bucs make the playoffs. That's good enough to me. And they're going to be a team no one wants to overlook in the playoffs, just being the reigning Super Bowl champions, having to go under center. No one's going to count out this Bucs team. I'd love for them to go undefeated, but it's not happening for me. As always, guys, thanks for watching. I do want to hear your opinion. And of course, like I said again, thank you for watching. I truly do appreciate it. 2-minute warning.